right. We're live for the first time in a very long time.
Huzzah.
Feeling super fat today.
Well, yeah. Always. All day, every day, baby.
But, like, especially today.
Are you bloated?
A little.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's what it's
It's
mostly
all
just.
those antibiotics. You're just swelling.
Yeah, that's what it is. I will blame it on the alcohol. I haven't had hardly any alcohol, though.
Well, no, because you're on antibiotics and
Yeah.
you're not supposed to.
But I have some now. So,
Well.
you know, let me see. We already have some comments. Oh, Caitlin said, hey.
Hey, girl, hey.
Let me put it in there. There we go. Okay.
Oh, you
We
really had
understand
to write that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Are you watching it?
Yeah.
On the laptop? Or up
No.
there? Oh, okay. Yeah, I have it on the screen. That's hilarious. What's that noise? Oh, it's the cat box. We have an automatic letterbox I forgot about. Okay. Well, I got to bring up my notes. I'm sorry.
That'd be helpful.
Yeah.
You do
Y'all-
start this shit out.
Yeah, we don't have what you call it?
A PowerPoint.
PowerPoint. Thank you.
A slideshow, if you will.
Slideshow.
Because Leah forgot about it.
Well, I mean, I forgot too.
Yeah.
Until very recently. We haven't done one of these in a very long time, so
Uh-uh.
that's why I forgot about it. All right, I got
Because
my
we
shit up.
pre-recorded and then we had, the skip week. And so, I don't know.
Mhm.
I don't even know what football is anymore at this point.
What is football?
I have no idea.
It looks like I have an open window somewhere. I don't know if I do. Okay, hold on. No, I don't.
You're
All right.
making me sleepy, Mitchell. Let's get
Yeah,
this
I
on
know.
the road.
This is going to take a while, isn't it?
Well, we do have two stories since there
Yeah.
are two people, so we got to get this going.
Two people.
Well, two
two-
teams. More than one people, I
Two
assume.
people. Okay. And Dobby is fast asleep on the couch, but watch, I can wake him up real quick. Y'all want to see this trick?
Don't do that to his feet. He hates that.
You just have to touch one of his back feet, and he
You
loses
are
it.
so mean.
Oh, he sucks, though. All right. Well, let's get recording, Leah. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
Again, y'all, sorry, no PowerPoint, so just us the whole time. How fucking fantastic is that? All right. Give it a little bit of silence. All of you out there, be very quiet. And I'll cue you, okay?
This
you
is
ready?
my silent face.
Yeah. 3, 2, 1.
Hey, y'all. I'm Leah Lawrence.
And I'm her husband, Mitch Lawrence.
And you are listening to Tailgate Tales, a special series of the Southern Spirits podcast.
Each week during this year's football season, we have talked about something from a school in the Southeastern Conference. And what are we doing this week, Leah?
The Iron Bowl?
That's
question
right.
mark?
It is the Iron Bowl. So we're doing two teams, two stories, double the pleasure, double the fun. That's the statement
Double the freshness
of
or
the great
double
mint. I got this. That's the statement of the great mint.
Okay, I don't remember. I just
In
remember the
Southern
double mint gum
Spirits
was
podcast.
And okay.
All right, so Auburn and Alabama will play at 2:30 Central Time on the 30th of November at Auburn. I'm pretty sure Alabama's going to win, but Auburn's not bad this year. They're just, Anyway, so we got two traditions to cover this week, Leah.
I'm still replaying old double mint gum commercials
Yeah, I
in my
know.
head right now.
Sorry, there were so many twins.
I'm sorry, all the twin commercials.
So many twins. Okay, so the first one we're going to talk about is Auburn's tradition, because they're the home team, so why don't we just talk about them? And the tradition I've picked is, of course, rolling Toomer's Corner. If you don't know what that is, when Auburn wins, they go out to this corner in downtown Auburn called Toomer's Corner, and that's because there's Toomer's Drugstore there that's been there since 1896, I think. Yeah, 1896. And they just throw toilet paper in all the trees around there. It's just a celebratory thing. But
So much toilet
yeah,
paper.
it's a shitload. It's like everyone from the game goes over there and does it.
So much toilet paper.
And before I researched this, I didn't know this. The origin of that is up for debate.
Oh, really? Really? They don't know when they started?
Yeah, because what I thought started it, and what I thought the well-known thing was, in 1972, there's the famous Punt Bama Punt game, which if you don't know what that is, just look it up. I'm not going to go through it. It's a whole thing.
No idea what you just
It's a
said.
rivalry game.
Okay.
Alabama was ranked number 2 in the nation at the time, and they had a
poop. I get it.
yeah halfback. Auburn had a halfback named Terry Henley, and in an interview before the game, he said, "We're going to go up there and beat the number 2 out of Alabama." So Auburn won, and they started throwing toilet paper in the trees because of the number 2. You get it, Leah?
That
Anyway,
seems
no, that's legitimately what started the toilet paper thing.
okay.
The thing is, they don't know for sure what Rolling Tumors Corner when it started, because it could date back to way back when. You know, I said Tumors Drugstore has been there since 1896. Auburn's football program started in 1892, and Tumors Drugstore was the only place in Auburn for a very long time that had a telegraph machine. So when Auburn would play away games, news of the win would come in on the telegraph, and so they would celebrate with a parade. And they suspect that Rolling Tumors Corner has some origins there, with ticker tape from the parade getting caught in the power lines. And so it was like a celebratory thing there. I didn't know about this. But anyway. So now we have the toilet paper thing, which has been happening since at least 1972. Famously, those trees...
So the whole thing is literally a giant poop joke.
Yeah. Famously,
Cool.
those trees were poisoned in 2010 after Auburn beat Alabama in the Iron Bowl.
Crazy.
And then went on to win the national championship. And so the trees had to be removed in 2013, but they replanted some trees. Our dog is barking in the background, I'm sorry, in 2015. And the tradition has continued ever since.
Yep.
So that's it for Auburn's tradition. They throw toilet paper in trees, and it's really interesting. I'm about to slit our dog's throat.
Please don't. That's really mean.
She'll stop barking.
Yeah, but then I wouldn't have my sweet, beautiful, wonderful
she's
puppy.
a cunt. All right. For Alabama's tradition, we're going to talk about the $1 Million Band. Specifically the naming of the $1 Million Band, because I didn't know how it got its name. For that Auburn information, I pulled that directly from auburntigers.com. So that's like an official thing. That's where all that information came from. With the $1 Million Band, this comes from just the Wikipedia of Alabama football traditions. So
Wikipedia, yeah.
not exactly trustworthy, but
we need to record that as a jingle, and anytime we use Wikipedia as a source, we just have to go, Wikipedia, yeah.
What a great idea.
I like it.
So this is the entire entry for the $1 Million Band Alabama tradition on that Wikipedia page. It's a little long, but just stick with me, okay? I'm going to quote the whole thing. Here we go. There are 2 stories to the naming of the $1 Million Band. The main one is from a time when Alabama's football wasn't doing so well. They were playing Georgia Tech, and the coach of Georgia Tech stated, "Your football team isn't worth a nickel, but you have $1 million band." And so the name stuck. In the second story, W.C. Champ, that's in quotes, Pickens, bestowed the name $1 Million Band after the 1922 football game against Georgia Tech. So, same thing. Though accounts vary, it is reported that in order for the band to attend the game, they had to solicit funds from local businesses. They were able to collect enough funds to ride in a tourist sleeper to the game. After the game, which Alabama lost 33-7, an Atlanta sports writer commented to Pickens, "You don't have much of a team. What do you have at Alabama?" Pickens replied, $1 million band. So kind of the same thing. Apparently Alabama football sucked for a minute, and they just called the band, by the way, in quote, and so they just called the band the $1 Million Band. So there you go. There's that.
I would wager to guess it's a multi-million-dollar band at this point.
Probably.
Those sousaphones are expensive as hell.
Yeah,
but,
they have. I read online that they have like 400 something members in any given year.
It's
something
a lot,
like that.
And they are actually a really excellent band.
Yeah.
I knew a few people that I graduated high school with that went on to be majorettes and trumpet players and stuff like that in that band.
So there's Alabama's tradition.
And I knew a lot of Auburn band members too. So, yay.
Yeah, I was gonna say your brother, but he wasn't in the band.
My brother he was in graduate school at that point.
Yeah, he was in the band at UAB.
He was in the band at UAB.
Right, that's my fault. Well, Leah, that's all that I have.
All right.
So why don't we get into some Auburn and Alabama stuff?
Okay.
And again, y'all, sorry we do not have a slideshow this week.
So you're gonna have to look at my
No, you can look at Dobby. Should we
Okay.
just zoom in on Dobby?
I was like, you could zoom in on Dobby and your weirdly vibrant sock
Hey, that's a good
that
sock.
doesn't match anything that you were wearing today, but it's fun.
Yeah. No, I mean.
All right, well, we are going to start out with Auburn also because they have the
Go ahead.
less good record, I guess.
Oh,
I don't know.
they do.
Yeah,
They're 8-3 this year. Alabama's 10-1.
that's not bad though.
Yeah.
They've had it worse.
Happy for you.
I don't
not bad.
football. I don't really care. I'm
It's
sorry.
not bad.
Anyway, so we are going to be talking about a ghost that haunts the highway to Auburn, not something in Auburn specifically itself.
There's one of those?
Yes.
Huh. Okay.
So the highway that goes into Auburn, it splits at Auburn and Opelika, is 169.
Yeah.
And Auburn and Opelika are twin cities. Like they're right next to each other.
Mm-hmm.
And so 169 has been a road for a very, very, very long time. And it initially started out as like a game trail, that the native tribes used to, get between different tribal areas and stuff like that.
Okay.
And then as the white folks started moving in, they started using it as a, way to migrate themselves. And then, as the years progressed, they paved it and started using it as a national highway. So like I said, this road has been around and was in use as a country road for a real long time before it was incorporated as part of the interstate system.
Mm-hmm.
So now this Highway 169 goes into Auburn, and like I said, it sort of connects Columbus, Georgia to Auburn and Opelika as well. And so our story starts in like the 1850s, 1860s, something like that. Pre-Civil War, so 1850s, early 1850s. And so there were 3 cotton plantations that were really prominent along that highway, and a lot of rich travelers traveled between, the Columbus, Georgia, and Auburn, Opelika areas. Merchants,
they're all
and
right
stuff
there
like
together.
that. And so they traveled that highway, and especially on Sundays, for whatever reason, there was a coach that came through, and it was generally carrying pretty well-to-do, wealthy folk from one town to the other. And there were robbers along this highway, and there was specifically one highwayman that was really notorious for hitting these coaches coming through on Sundays.
Ooh.
And so
Kind of like I did in Red Dead Redemption 2 a lot. It's a great game.
Of course you did.
Robbing the coaches is a major part of that video game.
Yeah,
man.
I know. I watched you do it.
It's so much fun.
But
Being a
anyway,
bad guy.
Yeah, so as they were driving through, this particular road at the time snaked through a bunch of different settlements, through native settlements, through woods and forests and all sorts of, just sort of a windy little road. And so there is a pretty dense forest there that this dude sort of like hid out in, and he saw this coach coming one Sunday, and he was like, okay, that's my mark. I'm going to rob them. It's going to be great. I'm going to get their shit, and then I'm going to go home. Well, he was only armed with 2 single-shot pistols, and he didn't realize that they were also armed. So as he rides out to head off the coach, he pulls his pistols, and he starts threatening these people. Now, the dude on the roof of the coach with the gun was probably kind of a younger guy and was very inexperienced and kind of freaked out at the fact that, we're being robbed. And so he accidentally discharged the gun, and it hit the highwayman, but it didn't hit him in a vital organ. It didn't kill him. It just wounded him a little bit on the arm. And so the highwayman pulls his guns out, he shoots the driver, and he shoots one of the passengers. The passenger dies right on the spot.
Jesus.
The driver is injured very, very badly, but he stays alive enough to drive it into town to sort of get his people to safety, and he's able to tell people what happened, to identify the guy, saying this is what he looks like before he died. So he bled out, and the police officers come out and start looking for this guy. And he's wounded pretty bad on the arm, and he's bleeding out. So he's hid out near Wright's Mill. And they end up finding him. And they take him into custody and they try him, and he was convicted of, murder and robbery and etc.
Yeah, it's a simpler time.
Like they do.
Mhm.
So they hanged him and they just sort of dumped his body on the side of the road. Let him go.
Wait, so like left him hanging there?
Yeah, like
For a while?
they hung him and they dumped him in a pauper's grave, unmarked, by the side of the road.
Okay, I'm not sure what a pauper's grave is,
A
but
pauper's grave is just like they dig a hole and they stick you in it and they don't mark it because you didn't pay for anything. It's it's what you do to poor people that can't afford to have a proper burial.
paupers. Oh, you
Paupers.
mean like P-A-U-P-E?
Paupers,
Okay, all right.
like the prince and the
We should pronounce that word differently. That should be a pauper's
pauper,
grave.
A pauper.
A pauper. I would
They
have
also
followed.
call them Potter's Fields, so I don't know that would help you much. But
No,
anyway.
it doesn't.
At any rate,
I'm not distinguishing these things.
Anyway, he gets buried, all right, and they didn't put no tombstone on it. So pretty much immediately after that happens, people start seeing apparitions of this guy. They see a man on horseback, sort of dressed in a sort of a flat, wide-brimmed sort of Western-style hat with a long duster jacket, on a horse, and they see his ghostly apparition. Sort of, generally, it's right before sunset, and then right after sunset, just that twilight time. They'll see him just sort of horsing on down the road.
Horsing?
I guess.
Pauperin?
Poppering.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they see him, and the reports of this guy are still seen today. And a lot of the people say that they'll just be driving by right around sunset, and they will see like someone on a horse cross the road, and like that's not terribly unusual in Alabama.
No.
It's just not. But the thing is once they make it to the area where he was, they'll look to see, oh, where did he go? Because it's a lot of fields and stuff in that area, and there's not a rider to be seen. And it's just one of those like, ooh, spooky things. And then they also say that there is also a weird partial apparition of the coach as well. So maybe the coach is still trying to get to its destination or whatever, or the people on board. But they say that you can hear the apparition of the coach more than you can see it. And what you can see of the apparition is generally just the hooves of the horses. You'll see the bottom part of it, right. But it's not a full carriage apparition, which is weird. But yeah, so that's just the highwayman that haunts Highway 169. They're into Auburn.
Yeah.
So if you're headed...
So not the college.
No.
I was waiting for it to tie into to the university.
No, I mean, but the road specifically goes in there, and a lot of people see this apparition because they're on their way into Auburn to go see a football game.
Right.
That is a really, really very busy road in the football season for home games.
It is. And for anyone that's not from Alabama and wouldn't know, Auburn is the quintessential college town.
Yeah.
There's not much else there. Opelika is actually a pretty big city.
Yeah, I was going to say, if most people that
twin.
live in that area live in Opelika and not Auburn itself.
See, I've been to Opelika a few times because I know the mayor. The mayor's son, the mayor of Opelika's son, was the best man at our wedding, and I've been to his house a few times. And Opelika is actually a really big, like almost a metropolis kind of city.
Yeah, it's a really large happening kind of place.
But then Auburn, it's basically just the college there. There's some high schools and other schools,
like normal small town stuff. But the major focus
it's a farming
of
town.
the economy, I mean, it was generally an agricultural school before it became like a university for real.
So if y'all didn't know, there's just nothing else in Auburn, so you might see a ghost horse thing.
A ghost horse carriage thing.
Yeah. I'm still coughing, y'all. I'm so sorry. Oh, well, I've never heard that story, so that was fun and interesting.
Yeah.
You gotta love a good hang 'em on the road story.
Yep.
You know?
Hang 'em on the road. Just do what you can.
Yeah.
And that story came out of a book called Haunted Auburn and Opelika.
That's a book?
It is. They're actually, and then the one that I'm reading, the next story, the one that I got that story from, was also called Haunted Tuscaloosa. Both by the same press, but by different authors. I think it's called Arcadia Press, and I think they just hire writers from out, because there are these books for just about everywhere. There's like one of like a Ghost of North Alabama, Ghost of where, and they all have the same kind of cover, and they're all printed by the same people. But Haunted Auburn and Opelika is where that story came from. And this next story is from Haunted Tuscaloosa. Are you ready?
I'm so ready. Is this one at the university?
It is, actually.
Oh, all right.
It is owned by the university proper.
Staying on topic.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, the problem, though, is that there was a lot of haunted stuff in Alabama. However, I wasted so many of those stories last year because those bitches wouldn't stop winning. So.
Okay. You did. You used a lot of Alabama stories last year.
I used so many Alabama stories last year because we did championships.
Yeah, we shouldn't. We're not doing the playoffs, the postseason this year at all.
Because I used so many Alabama stories. Yeah. And if we do this again next year, I got to have more Alabama stories. So
well, if we do it again next year, you need stories for everyone again. Yeah. Because
I done run out of Georgia
ones too. We're fucking out of stories, and there's too much. Yeah. So.
Anyway, we'll come up with something. It'll be fun. We'll do this maybe not about the colleges themselves, maybe about players or something.
Well, yeah, I can understand that.
I don't know. It'll be fun. We'll figure it out.
I don't know.
But at any rate, we're talking about the Kilgore House. Yay!
No idea what we're talking about.
It is a little blue Victorian house next to the cemetery there on campus.
There's a cemetery on campus?
Yeah, it's actually right across the street from Bryant-Denny Stadium.
I've been to Alabama's campus, but like once.
Yeah, I've only been to Tuscaloosa the one time. It was for, I thought for sure I was going to Alabama when I was in high school. And then like I went for their like not freshman thing, but like prospective student visit day, like their big day. And I was like, oh, I'm totally going here. And then I got on campus and I was like, there are too many fucking people here. I can't do this. So.
I had a friend that went to Alabama for a semester and hated it so much he transferred to Auburn because it's like at Alabama you have to be in a group of some kind is the way he was putting it. Yeah. Like fraternity, sports team, something. You have to be part of something or else it is miserable.
Yeah. And see, I'm not that person at all. Yeah. Like so it was a very good choice for me to go to a smaller school, but I know a lot of people that went to Alabama and fucking love it. So that's cool too. It wasn't for me. But anyway, so the Kilgore House was actually built by, and it was originally owned and built by the Alabama Hospital for the Insane. Yay. Yay. I didn't know that was a fucking thing. Which is right there in Tuscaloosa nearby. And we're going to be talking about it later as a different story, but it's now called the Bryce Mental Institution. Okay. And so the trustees of that insane asylum in 1890 decided that, hey, we've got this employee, his name is Charles Kilgore, and he was their assistant steward, so he took care of all of the construction there at the hospital, all of the grounds and the outdoors and stuff like that. Okay. And they were like, we need to build this dude a house because he's got a lot of kids and he needs a place to live. So they authorized the construction of a, quote, commodious 2-story cottage.
Does that mean toilet like?
I have no idea. I should have Googled the word commodious.
Commodious sounds like it means shitty.
I think it's like accommodations. So I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, but at any rate, they built him a cute little house, and because he had 7 kids.
That's too many, man.
Yeah, he had 6 kids from his first wife. 1 kid, and her name was Lil Gibby.
I'm guessing his first wife died in childbirth.
Probably. Let's be real. So his first wife, had 6 kids. Then he married Elizabeth Gibby, and they had another daughter who they called Lil Gibby. I'm sorry, it makes me laugh every time I say it.
Y'all know Lil Gibby.
Lil Gibby.
She has she did the thong song.
That's not it.
That was Cisco. Oh, not even close. I think Cisco's prison name is Lil Gibby.
Oh, bless it.
No, Cisco didn't get in trouble. Nelly got in trouble.
Yes.
Never mind. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm just being racist across the board.
Oh,
It's
all
not
right.
going well. It's not going well. Cancel the live stream.
But anyway, so they got little Gibby, and then so they got 7 kids in the house, and then Mr. Kilgore's brother died, and he had a daughter, so they took custody and adopted Cora, their niece. So there are 8 kids in this damn house. Cora and little Gibby are the same age. So eventually the older kids grow up, move out, and it's just these 2 sort of teenage girls living in the house with them, and they went to the Tuscaloosa College for Women. But unfortunately, Lil Gibby, when she was 16, died of the, quote, the summer complaint, which was dysentery.
Oh, it's like, the fuck could that possibly be?
The summer complaint.
Turns out,
it's dysentery.
Terrible diarrhea.
Diarrhea. That's what it is. And she died in July of 1901. And so it was really sad, and they were the only people there, and Cora ended up she went on to study at the University of Alabama. And actually, the University of Alabama was one of the first coeducational institutions in the United States.
Took them a long time to allow non-white people,
I was going to say, the whole integration thing was a much bigger problem. But, I mean, yay,
but ladies,
women.
Come on. These frat boys need some ladies.
Only white ladies, though. Bless it.
Oh, that's the title of this episode. Only white ladies.
Ugh. Anyway, so she was studying at the University of Alabama. So at that time, they were like, hey, we've got all this house and we need to make a little bit of money. So they start offering room and board to male students at the university. After Cora graduated in 1904, she started doing graduate work at the university and moved out and stuff. So they had extra rooms, and women, there were more women on campus at the time. So they were like, look, we're just going to board women, so it became basically a boarding house for co-eds on campus, and they called it the Kilgore Ranch, and it was definitely the place to be if you were a lady on campus, because you weren't strict. The dorms that were run by the university were incredibly strict. They had dorm mothers that were keeping an eye on you all the time, making sure that all of your shit was together. You couldn't have fun basically at all. You couldn't have dudes over to hang out. It was
I don't know
restricted.
If I want to make this joke I thought of.
Please don't. But if you have a question about it, don't make that joke.
I think it's worth it.
If you have a question about it, don't make that joke.
Okay. I'm not going.
Okay.
I was going to say, were there knitting hours? Because it was the early, forget it. And that's what the ladies could do socially. Knit.
I mean, it was probably more of an embroidery thing, but fine.
Thank you. Thank you, Leah. It wasn't as bad as I thought. Thank you.
But anyway, so they were really lucky to be living there. Everybody wanted, because they had so much fun hanging out. It was just basically like a little sorority. They were also, so this was right around the time that spiritualism really kind of took off in the United States. Mm-hmm. And so the women there were known to do fortune telling for each other, and they had seances there, and it was sort of
and all these women got hung, didn't they, for being witches?
No, they didn't. It was fine. They graduated.
Okay.
So they were,
surprising.
Like I said, it was just a regular, normal, women being women, hanging out, having fun. But unfortunately, in 1908, Cora Kilgore also died at the age of 20, and they don't have any recorded reason for her death. They don't have the cause of death, but my guess is probably dysentery.
Yeah. Diarrhea was a lot bigger problem back in the day.
Yeah, 100%. So
still a problem now, but
yeah.
We got that shit on lock.
I was gonna say gross.
We just throw chalk into our stomachs and everything's fine.
Anyway,
right?
So the Kilgores decided, hey, we've had enough of this house. We're moving back into town. So they moved to downtown Tuscaloosa, and the Kilgore house ended up, being used for not faculty, but staff members of the Bryce Hospital continually until the 70s. Mm-hmm. And in the 70s, the hospital in Alabama sort of did a switcheroo, and they exchanged some property, so they had control of the Kilgore house. And anyway, so for the longest time, it was just a random house. And eventually they were like, I think it was in the 80s, they started like fixing it back up. They made the porches reusable. They redid the siding. They made it nice. So the Alabama Heritage magazine was founded there in the Kilgore house in a room. And today that's the entire house. That's what is there, that magazine, all of the staff members and the students that run that magazine. That's what takes up that building. And for the most part, no one ever thought any kind of haunting, ghosty, nothing. It was like just a regular old house. There weren't any stories about it. Who cares? But in 2008, they started doing interior renovations and remodeling of the spaces. And for whatever reason, it either pissed a ghost off or called one back in, or maybe a ghost from the cemetery was like, I hate being over here. I'm going to move into that nice sweet house over there.
Yeah.
Who knows what happened? But within 24 hours, 3 different staff members, and like I said, this was in September in 2008, 3 different employees started experiencing separate paranormal phenomenon, like enough to like freak them out real bad. So they heard, one of them heard noises, and noises that freaked him out so much that like she got the fuck out of the house. She was like, I'm out, bye y'all. And then that afternoon, another student came in and was working alone, doing some paperwork, taking care of business, because it was a Sunday and, you know, you had some extra time.
Right.
And they started hearing footsteps moving along the hall through the door to the editor's office. And they, like, kind of got out and looked, and there was literally nobody else in the building. They're like, okay. And that happened a couple more times, and it freaked them out real bad. And then that following Monday morning, there was a volunteer that worked on staff there for the magazine, and they were just, you know, stuffing envelopes, just taking care of business down there. And she saw a full-bodied apparition of a black woman in like a turban and like a work dress.
Okay.
Yeah, just this random apparition of a woman hanging out down there. And she said that she saw that apparition like 8 times in 4 hours. Like, just it wouldn't go away, and she was really disturbed. So at that point, they like locked up the building with like a recorder that they left overnight, and they had gotten some like EVP or whatever, and then so they call in the Tuscaloosa paranormal folk, and they've done lots of investigations. And if you're interested in their investigation, there is a lot of information on their website.
Just Google Tuscaloosa paranormal folk.
I think they're called Tuscaloosa Paranormal Investigations, but once again, you just Google Tuscaloosa Paranormal, and I promise you they'll come up. But yeah, they've been recently doing a lot of investigation and stuff there, and they basically said, yeah, it's definitely haunted, but by what, we're not really sure. So, yeah, that's the haunted Kilgore house.
Thanks for the information, paranormal folk. You were super helpful.
Yep.
Well, that was real fun. I love a good, like, old hospital building, insane asylum type story. I think you know that.
It was a sane asylum adjacent. It never was actually patient driven, but it was next to it.
Yeah.
And the cemetery was right there in the front yard, which is a little of a weird place to put a house. Like,
there are so many college campuses with fucking cemeteries on them that I've just found out about this year.
Montevallo has a really old one. Very beautiful cemetery.
What the fuck is happening?
It's called the King Cemetery.
Y'all some creepy ass cemeteries.
Lots of art students would go out there for photo shoots because it was so spooky. I'm sure.
Yeah.
Because it had a rock wall around the whole cemetery.
Oh, that's pretty. That sounds wonderful. All right, y'all. Well, that was fun. I guess Tailgate Tales is done for the year.
Yes!
Yeah, I know. You're super excited.
No more football. No more football. No more football.
You know how little football I've watched this year?
Yes, I do, because you haven't watched. I think we might have watched a couple of games, and one was at like a bar standing up in DC. So
yeah, that was the Alabama LSU game. That was fun.
It was terrible.
The most football I
wanted
watched.
to play skee ball so bad,
I
but there
know.
were like a million people down there, and I
Yeah.
couldn't get to the skee
You
ball
couldn't
machines.
move around in that bar.
So upset.
The most football I watched this year was when I was in Biloxi, and I put a little bit of money on the games at the sports books, and that was fun because I won my bets.
Did you win like $6?
No, I put $25 on the games and won back like like 42.
Nice,
Yeah.
nice.
So it was fun. I really enjoyed sports betting, and I
Please don't
see
get
why
into
people
that.
get addicted to it. Oh no, I'm not. I'm not that kind of person, and you know that. But I enjoyed it though. It does. I mean, you could just put a little bit of money on the game, and all of a sudden you're really invested in it. And it's like Temple and Rhode Island are playing, and you're like, who the fuck even are these people? But come on, Temple, win by 4 points, please.
I don't even know where those places are. I mean, I know where Rhode Island is, don't get me wrong,
Yeah.
but I don't know where Temple is.
I don't either. I have no idea where Temple University is. But sports betting's fun. I encourage all of you to go give it a try.
Or don't. It's fun.
All right, y'all. Well, it's been a great football season. We hope that you've enjoyed all of these episodes, and we hope that you enjoy the Iron Bowl today at 2:30
Yeah,
when this
definitely.
releases, y'all. If
On
you're here for the live stream.
Yeah, on the podcasting
Yeah,
part.
on Saturday, on November the 30th.
Yes.
All right, y'all.
I hope you had a fabulous Thanksgiving.
Yeah, I forgot about that. I forgot
Hope
that
you
it's
ate
like Thanksgiving
all of that
right
turkey or chicken marsala as I will be making.
now. Don't eat that. Don't eat all that turkey. So,
Great.
All right, y'all. Well, thank y'all so much for being with us, and check out the main episode tomorrow. We'll see you next time.
Bye, y'all.
All right, there's that. Question, is that Dobble?
Double. That's what I should call
Yeah.
him.
Is that Dobble, and what is he licking? He licks everything. Oh, it says Dobby. I'm sorry, it didn't say Dobble.
Dobble's a better name, though. Let's call him Double.
He just licks everything, and Leah said yesterday, we may need to take him to the vet because she thinks he's anxiety licking. But he just licks everything. He always has.
I think it's more of he's bored and he wants something to play with.
Yeah,
so.
maybe he has a salt deficiency.
I don't think so.
Yeah. But yes, that's Dobby, and he sucks. Leah likes to go on Instagram, and she has an album saved of what she calls doppelgangers, where she finds dogs that look exactly like him.
There are I personally know 2 different people with dogs that look exactly like him.
Mhm.
And so I call them doppelgangers.
Yep.
And if you have a dog that looks like Dobby, just Instagram me because I have a collection on Instagram of saved photos of just dogs that look like mine. I don't know these people. I don't know these dogs, but they're all doppelgangers and I love them.
I think he's one of those that is just like, it's a very common looking
Yeah.
dog.
It just when you mix a couple of different things with a Yorkie, it kind of looks like this.
Yeah, I agree. He's just got that face. Like Samus is the same way. Our big dog. I had a dog growing up that looked exactly like her, named Sparky. And we've seen a lot of them that look like her too, but you don't have an album for her.
No, because Dobbies are much more common.
Yeah.
And Samelganger is a lot harder to say.
Samelganger. I'm just saving the audio, y'all. All right, well, we have nothing else to add, so I think it's time to, be done with the live stream, I guess. But anyway, well, let me see. I have to, let me see here. See what was said in the live stream. Oh my God, I closed it.
I have anxiety licking too. Ha 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 ha.
Gross. Gross. Oh.
I have a lot of anxiety things, but licking isn't one of them.
Yeah. Samus, come here. Let everybody see you. Come on.
Come on, baby
Up.
girl.
See, I had a dog that looked just like her, but with smaller ears growing up, named Sparky. And
She's doing everything she can to duck
my mom in the chat brings up something interesting. I got angry at him once, and I gave him a middle name. I screamed at him. I said, Sparky James Lawrence, get over here. I forgot I did that. But Sparky looked just like her, just with smaller ears, because she's got big German Shepherd ears.
Yeah, I don't give dogs middle names. I give them occupations and titles. So
we've given Dobby a middle name.
Dobby is Professor Dobbithan Gigglebottoms.
Yeah, that's his middle name, Dobbithan Gigglebottoms. The fourth. Lawrence.
Lawrence.
On top of that. Yeah.
Professor.
All right, We are done with the live stream. So, y'all have a great Thanksgiving tomorrow. Enjoy yourselves. I don't know if you celebrate Thanksgiving, but if you don't, that's fine too. Just have a great Thursday.
Yeah, Thursdays
You know?
are pretty sweet.
Yeah. Anyway, it's been fun, y'all. We will see you next time.
Bye, y'all.